Bismillahir-Rahmanir-Rahim. In the name of Allah, the entirely merciful, the especially merciful. Welcome again to another episode of an introduction to Islam. Dear viewers, actually we are getting near to the last episodes of these series, and in this episode we are going to speak about the ancillaries of Islam in the first part. A short review. In the last episodes we spoke about 5 principles of Islamic belief that we called them Usuluddin. Tawheed, or the oneness of God, the Adl, or divine justice, Nubuwwah, or prophethood, the Ma'ad, resurrection day, or the resurrection of the dead, and Imamat, the leadership of mankind. Now the 10 ancillaries or practices of Islam. First, let's have a quick look at what these 10 are. First, the Salaat, ritual prayer. The second, Sawm, or fasting during the month of Ramadan. The third one is Hajj, the pilgrimage to Mecca. And the fourth is Zakaat, charitable giving. The fifth one is Khums, a fifth of specific kinds of income given to charity. And the sixth is Jihad, struggles to defend Islam. The seventh is commanding or joining or enjoining the good. And the eighth is forbidding what is evil. 9 is Tawalli, or the love of faith and the chosen of God. And the 10 is Tabarri, disassociation from enemies of the faith and God's chosen. The first one is Salat, or the ritual prayer. Salat is called in some languages by the Persian-derived term namaz, is one of the 10 practices in the faith of Islam and an obligatory religious duty for every Muslim. It is a physical, mental, and spiritual act of worship that is observed 5 times every day at prescribed times. In this ritual, the worshipper starts standing, bows, prostrates, and concludes while sitting on the ground. During each posture, the worshipper recites or reads certain verses, phrases, and prayers. The word Salat is commonly translated to prayer, but this definition might be confusing. Muslims use the word dua, or supplication, when referring to the common definition of prayers, which is reverent petitions made to God. Salat is the most important worship of Muslims, which is referred to by highly respectful and reverent phrases in the Quran and the Hadiths, such as, it is the pillar of the religion, a ascension of a spirit, soul purifier, and the first practice which will be questioned about in the judgment day, and the requisite for the acceptance of good deeds. And it is also mentioned in these sources that the prayer wards the sins off and determines the border of faith and atheism, that is kufr, or infidelism, or infidelity, and eliminates the arrogance. These are the highly respectful and reverent phrases that we see in the Quran and Hadiths about this act of worship. Prayer has a remarkable place in both the Prophet's speech and action. There are over 11,600 hadiths about prayer in the books Wasail al-Shia and Mustadrak al-Wasail, demonstrating its unique significance among the 12 Imams. Imam al-Hussein's noon prayer on the day of Ashura and many other instances from Imam's lives witness the importance of prayer. The types of prayer. Prayer is a kind of worship, and no one has the right to make up a prayer which has not existed in religion. This is prohibited in Islam. Types of prayers are obligatory prayers, and the obligatory prayers can be categorized in two groups. They are daily prayers. Daily prayers are 5 prayers with a total of 17 units. We call them the rak'ats. Here you can see the names of the prayers on the screen. For example, the Fajr prayer, dawn prayer, and its timing is after Fajr, that is dawn, and before sunrise, and it has 2 rak'ats, or let's say units. Dhuhr prayer, noon prayer, and its time is after Dhuhr, that is noon, till Maghrib, and the Asr one, which is the afternoon prayer till Maghrib, which is sunset, and it's 4 rak'ats, just like the Zuhr prayer. The Maghrib prayer, the sunset prayer after Maghrib, the timing starts till the midnight, and it is 3 rak'ats. And Isha prayer, dusk prayer after the sunset, it starts till the midnight, which is also 4 units. The prayers that are obligatory in some special occasions. So we have the daily obligatory prayers, and also the prayers which are obligatory in some special occasions. They are one of them, for example, is ayat prayer, the signs prayer. Whenever the following happenings occur, one should perform this salat. For example, when lunar eclipse or the eclipse of the sun, no matter partial or complete, or earthquake or etc. happens, these horrific natural happenings when happen, one has to perform 2 rak'ats in a special way that inshallah we will speak about it in the ahkam section. The qada prayer or compensation prayer, and it has no special time. This is like the main prayer. For example, the qada of the subh or fajr prayer is 2 rak'ats, just like it. And if one does not say his or her prayer on its particular time, he or she has committed a sin and must say the prayer later with the intention of compensation. And also the funeral prayer, which is among the obligatory prayers, and it is before interment, before burying someone in the grave. It is performed for dead Muslims before their burial. It is also a special way of a special kind of prayer that we have to speak about these the details of these prayers in ahkam section. And we have the supererogatory prayers, which we call them the mustahab prayer. Since prayer is the most beautiful and perfect practice of worship, there are lots of supererogatory prayers in addition to obligatory ones for those enthusiastic. It is almost impossible to find a religious occasion not having a special prayer. Almost all of these prayers are assembled in the book of Mafatihul Jinan. The Nafila prayers and the night prayers and the Friday prayers are the examples of these mustahab prayers. As the second ancillary of Islamic faith, we have the Sawm or fasting. And fasting is one of the most important rituals in Islam, and by that a Muslim should refrain from some 10 actions. Of course, it depends on different fatwas, from the Fajr Azan till the Maghrib Azan. These actions are eating, drinking, sexual intercourse, masturbation, ascribing lies to Prophet Muhammad and 12 Imams, peace be upon them, and according to precaution to all the prophets and also the Lady Fatima Salamu alayha. And deliberate inhalation of smoke or dust and such things. And immersing the entire head into the water according to several jurists. Remaining in the state of janaba, and that is uncleanness due to seminal discharge, until dawn, and deliberate vomiting and also enema. Quran states, clearly expresses this divine deed as a religious ritual which was practiced in different religions. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. يا أيها الذين آمنوا كتب عليكم الصيام كما كتب على الذين من قبلكم لعلكم تتقون. O you who believe, fasting is decreed for you as it was decreed for those before you, so that you may become pious through self-restraint. This is in Surah Al-Baqarah, the verse 183. The similarity of observing fasting among different religions is ascribed to the practice itself, not its details. According to Islamic narrations, Adam was the first one who had observed fasting. Fasting is mentioned in hadiths as it creates balance between deprived and the rich. It is a test to improving ikhlas or sincerity. It is a form of jihad. It is regarded as zakat of the body. It reminds people of thirst and hunger in the judgment day. It is a shield against the punishment in afterlife. It brings health for body, and it is a shield against worldly temptations, etc. As the third ritual or practice of faith, we have the Hajj, which is the pilgrimage to Mecca. Hajj is an act of worship and one of the most important sacraments in Islam, which consists of pilgrimage to Mecca for performing special rituals. In addition to worshiping aspect, Hajj has social, economical, and political aspects, and it is the largest gathering of Muslims that happens once a year from the 8th to the 12th day of Dhul Hijjah, the 12th month of Hijri calendar. Adherents to all Islamic sects gather in Mecca during Hajj. Note that undertaking the Hajj at least once is a duty for Muslims who are physically and financially able to make the journey and can support their family during their absence. Some points about Hajj. The Hajj is a demonstration of the solidarity of the Muslim people and their submission to Allah. In this huge Muslim gathering, all of the Islamic sects take part, and this can be a means of getting united against the oppressors of the world, of course, if there is a good management. Ihram is the name given to the special spiritual state in which pilgrims wear two white sheets of seamless cloth, of course it is only for men, and abstain from certain actions. Something like one's shroud, which when put into the grave. And it means that during Hajj, all of the people should be the same, and the rich and the poor must not be identified. And the only thing that matters in this time is to be absolutely free of worldly affairs and to think about one's actions and try to have a pure connection with his or her Lord. You see in this picture so the ihram clothes for both men and women. Stoning of the evil is one of the actions that happens in the Hajj ritual. One of the Hajj rituals that is performed 3 times during Hajj time is to symbolically stone the Satan. Its story goes back to the time of Prophet Abraham alayhi salam, when he was ordered to slaughter his son Ismail alayhi salam as a divine test, and when he wanted to accomplish this order, Satan appeared to him 3 times and tried to persuade him not to slaughter his son, and each time Prophet Abraham alayhi salam threw stones to Satan in order not to be deceived. In the end, he tried to cut the veins of Ismail alayhi salam, but as it was only a test, the knife didn't cut his veins by God's order, and God sent a ram to be slaughtered instead, and the slaughter ritual goes back to this event, and Abraham alayhi salam completely was victorious. Now the Hajj or the Hajis, this is the meaning of pilgrims, repeat this symbolic action every year to bear in mind that man's greatest enemy is Satan, and one should be obedient only to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In these pictures you see the stoning and slaughter. Of course, the stoning, in this picture you see a big wall, and it is put instead of a big obelisk due to some security measures. And the ram or the sheep that is slaughtered the meat will go to the poor. There are so many rituals in Hajj that we can't cover them in this short time. Let's see what the fourth ancillary is. This is Zakat, or obligatory alms. Zakat is a form of almsgiving and a financial and divine obligation which is of high significance in Islam and counts as one of its ancillaries. In religious sources, Zakat has the same status as prayer or Salaat and Jihad. Zakat is mentioned in 59 Quranic verses and about 2,000 hadiths. In the terminology of fiqh, that is jurisprudence, Zakat is a certain amount of one's property that is obligatory to be paid in some specific cases. There are 2 types of zakat. Zakat of one's body, which is Zakat al-Fitr, and is paid in Eid al-Fitr, the first day after the month of Ramadan. And the zakat of the property that is obligatory to be paid in the case of the 4 types of grains, that is wheat, barley, dates, and raisins, and livestock, that is cows, camels, and sheep, and coins, which are gold and silver coins, under certain conditions. Cases for the expenditure of zakat. In order to specify the cases for the expenditure of zakat, most interpreters have, without any disputes, appealed to the following verse of Quran. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم إنما الصدقات للفقراء والمساكين والعاملين عليها والمؤلفة قلوبهم وفي الرقاب والغارمين وفي سبيل الله وابن السبيل فريضة من الله والله عليم حكيم. Alms are for the poor and the needy and those employed to administer the funds. For those whose hearts have been recently reconciled to truth, for those in bondage and in debt, in the cause of Allah, and for the wayfarer. Thus it is ordained by Allah, and Allah is full of knowledge and wisdom. Zakat is expanded in the following 8 cases. The poor or fuqara, and those who are very poor, they are called masakin. The officials who undertake the management of zakat and people who collect it, and the people who are inclined to Islam when they are financially aided, in order to emancipate the slaves and to help people in debt, and anything in the way of God's happiness, and at last to help the wayfarer, and those who are in trouble financially while traveling. As the 5th one and the last ancillary of this episode, we have the Khums. Khums is a fiqhi or jurisprudential term, meaning to pay 1/5 of the annual surplus income, or of mine or treasure, taking into account the required conditions in fiqh. Khums is an important subject in Islamic fiqh, in particular Imami fiqh. The Quran and Hadith. Khums is one of the ancillaries of the faith which is mentioned and discussed in Surah Al-Anfal, verse number 41, and more than 110 hadiths. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم واعلموا أنما غنمتم من شيء فأن لله خمسه وللرسول ولذي القربى واليتامى والمساكين وابن السبيل إن كنتم آمنتم بالله وما أنزلنا على عبدنا يوم الفرقان يوم التقى الجمعان والله على كل شيء قدير. Know that whatever thing you may come by, verily 1/5 of it is for Allah and the apostle and the relatives of the orphans and the orphans, for the needy and the traveler, if you have faith in Allah and what we sent down to our servant on the day of separation, the day when the two hosts met, that is Battle of Badr, and Allah has power over all things. Note, the main controversial point of this verse is the meaning of ghanima, which is mentioned in the verse by the verb ghanimtum, as according to the verse 1/5 of ghanima must be paid, so the meaning of ghanima determines the subject of obligation. Ghunm literally means any profit one receives, whether it is obtained through work or it is booty or any other profit. There have been narrated many hadiths and letters ascribed to Prophet ﷺ regarding Khums. Also, Shia Imams ﷺ have stated many hadiths about Khums. These hadiths are the most noteworthy document to prove the authenticity of fiqhi precepts about Khums. the share belonging to Imam and Sadat. In the verse of Khums, the people who are rightful to receive Khums are divided into six. God's messenger, Dhul Qurba, and they are the close relatives of the Prophet. Dhul Qurba is applied literally to mean all the relatives of a person. However, based on hadiths, Dhul Qurba in this verse points to imams. Orphans, miskeen, and we said that they are very poor. And Ibn Sabil, and as I said before, those who are in trouble financially while traveling. Khums is divided into two parts. According to hadiths, the share belonging to God, Prophet, and Dhul Qurba belongs to the leader of the Islamic society, the Prophet ﷺ, or Imam. This share is called the Sahmul Imam, share of the Imam. The marja, or the jurist, instead of Imam, receives this share during occultation of Imam al-Mahdi Ajjalallahu ta'ala farajahu sharif, and spends it in the same way as Imams did in the past, as hadiths testify. The other issue about this verse is the meaning of orphans, the poor, and Ibn Sabil, that they refer to all orphans and poor people, or refer to those people among relatives and descendants of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Imamiyya or Shia scholars advocate the latter opinion and say it means the poor and orphans of Banu Hashim. Therefore, this part of Khums is called Sahmus Sadat, the share of Sayyids, which goes to the poor Sayyids. Like ever, please contact us and ask your questions through these ways, and that is info@onlinehausa.com, or use the mobile messengers like WhatsApp or Telegram on the number below. That is +98 935 7467 202. Assalaamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.